Today, building a home often means clicking a few buttons, ordering materials, and hiring a contractor. We live in structures designed with centuries of architectural knowledge and power tools. But imagine waking up tomorrow in a world without a single nail, a single saw, or even a blueprint. A world where the only shelter available is what you can conjure from raw nature. How did ancient humans, faced with scorching sun, freezing blizzards, and relentless rain, build homes? Not just survive, but thrive? The answer reveals an untaught genius of prehistory that will fundamentally change how you view human ingenuity. We often picture early humans huddled in caves, finding instant, ready-made shelter from the elements and dangers. It's a compelling image, ingrained in our collective consciousness, but the brutal reality is that suitable caves were incredibly rare. Think about it. A cave that's easily accessible, dry, well-ventilated, and spacious enough to house a family or a small group while also being defensible against predators is a geological lottery win. Far more often, any good cave was already occupied by something truly formidable. A cave bear, a saber-toothed cat, or another, stronger human group. So, for the vast majority of our ancestors, the universal cave dweller myth simply doesn't hold up. This isn't just debunking a myth, it's profoundly redefining what home actually meant for our ancestors. It wasn't a static, permanent structure like the houses we inhabit today, nor was it always a dark, damp rock fissure. Instead, home was a dynamic, adaptable, and often ephemeral solution, a testament to astounding ingenuity crafted with literally whatever the immediate environment provided. Their survival hinged on this deep, intuitive understanding of their surroundings and an ability to transform raw nature into protection. They weren't just looking for shelter, they were creating it. We'll delve deep into the surprising array of raw materials they identified as viable building blocks, resources we might dismiss as useless without our modern toolkits. Imagine, for instance, the supple, intertwining branches found along riverbanks, or the broad, insulating leaves harvested from dense forests. These weren't just foliage, they were potential walls and roofs. Then there were the incredibly versatile properties of animal hides, not just for clothing, but as waterproof membranes, flexible coverings, and even structural elements when stretched and dried. Pliable mud, often seen as mere dirt, became a sophisticated building material when mixed with fibers, capable of forming strong, insulating walls. Durable bone from larger animals wasn't just refuse, it was a potential structural support or a sharpened tool to process other materials. And in colder climates, they even harnessed the structural strength of compacted snow and ice, creating shelters that could withstand blizzards and extreme cold. Crucially, we'll explore how these materials, seemingly useless without modern tools, were processed and prepared for construction. This is where the untaught genius truly shines, as their own bodies became the ultimate toolkit. Their teeth weren't just for eating food. They were precision tools, capable of stripping fibrous bark from branches, tearing tough animal sinew, or even delaminating layers of hide. Bare hands, far from being just clumsy appendages, became expert manipulators, twisting fibers into strong cordage, weaving branches into intricate patterns, or pressing mud into cohesive bricks. Imagine the rhythmic stomp of human feet, tirelessly compacting layers of wet earth and clay, transforming soft, pliable mud into a dense, almost concrete-like foundation or wall. Natural abrasives like rough rocks and sand, found everywhere, were employed with patience and skill for shaping and smoothing wood, bone, or even compacting surfaces. It's one thing to find a flexible vine, it's another entirely to transform it into a durable lashing that can withstand tension and weather, holding together a framework of branches against a gale. It's one thing to collect animal hides, it's another to cure them, stretch them, and sew them with bone needles and sinew thread into a waterproof, insulating tent covering. But identifying and gathering materials is only half the battle. How did they actually shape these disparate raw elements into something structurally sound? Something that could provide genuine protection against the harshest elements, without a single saw, hammer, or measuring tape? The answer lies not in external tools, but in an overlooked, internal marvel that science is only just beginning to truly appreciate. A profound, innate understanding of the world around them that allowed them to literally think structures into being. Forget power drills, spirit levels, and architectural blueprints. If you strip away every single modern convenience, every piece of technology, what are you left with? The most fundamental, profound, and often profoundly underestimated toolkit humanity ever possessed: the human body itself, coupled with an unparalleled capacity for observation. This is where the story of ancient homes truly begins, not with stones or sticks, but with skin and bone, muscle and mind. Imagine the hands of our ancestors, not the soft keyboard-tapped hands of today, but hands hardened by a lifetime of direct engagement with the world. Their dexterity wasn't just good, it was extraordinary. These were hands that could meticulously twist raw plant fibers into robust ropes, strong enough to bind, lift, and pull with surprising tenacity. They could strip bark from trees with a precision that speaks of intimate knowledge, creating insulation layers or pliable mats for roofing. Think of the rhythmic compaction of mud and clay, pressed by countless hands, forming surprisingly stable blocks that would dry hard as stone in the sun. Or the intricate art of interlocking branches, not with nails or screws, but with a structural intuition that rivals modern carpentry, weaving a complex skeleton that held its form against wind and weather, a testament to generations of refined technique. But the hands were just part of the story. The ancient human body worked as a unified, dynamic system. Consider the often forgotten yet critical role of feet and legs. They weren't just for walking. They were crucial stabilizers for heavy loads, grounding the body as leverage was applied to move objects far beyond individual lifting capacity. They were tireless diggers, scooping and pushing earth with surprising efficiency to create deep, stable foundations for structures, shaping the very ground beneath their feet. Imagine the sheer pressing power, compacting soil, flattening surfaces, or forcing materials into place with the full weight of the body. And the ability to generate leverage, a subtle shift in stance, a push against an immovable object, the bracing of a foot, transforming individual strength into a collective force far greater than it seemed, all without external implements or complex machinery. Yet, raw physical strength and dexterity, while incredible, weren't enough. The true unseen tool was the ancient brain. Its computational power was unlike anything we readily acknowledge today. We often think of prehistoric people as primitive, but their observational skills were acutely honed, a matter of survival. They recognized patterns in material strength in ways we're only now rediscovering through advanced engineering. They saw how a bird's nest, seemingly fragile, was an architectural marvel of interwoven strength, a testament to interlocking structures designed to resist wind and rain. They studied beaver dams, colossal feats of natural engineering, built from carefully selected and positioned timber, perfectly redirecting water and resisting immense pressure. This wasn't just passive observation, it was active learning, leading to an innate spatial reasoning. They could mentally visualize complex structures, understanding how different elements would interlock and bear weight before they even lifted a finger or moved a stone. Imagine the trial and error, the countless failures, a roof collapsing, a wall crumbling, each setback a brutal, direct lesson, teaching them fundamental load-bearing principles. They learned through direct, often painful, experience what worked and what didn't. This was the era of mimicry engineering in its purest form, where lessons from the natural world were directly applied to human problems, not through textbooks or formal education, but through constant immersive engagement with their environment, through generations of relentless experimentation, of shared knowledge passed down not in scrolls, but in demonstrations, in practice, in the very act of building together. They developed the world's first engineering principles. These were guided purely by keen observation and raw intellect, refined over millennia. They understood tension and compression, balance and counterweight, the advantages of a cantilever, the stability of a tripod, all without ever uttering those terms. It was an intuitive, embodied knowledge, coded into their very being, shaping their choices of materials and methods, allowing them to construct dwellings far more sophisticated than a simple cave. But here's the crucial point. Even with the human body as an incredible multi-tool and the ancient brain as a sophisticated intuitive guide, constructing anything beyond a basic lean to presented a monumental, seemingly insurmountable challenge. How did they elevate massive, heavy structural elements? Tree trunks that might weigh hundreds of pounds. How did they secure large wooden beams into place, high above the ground? And crucially, How did they achieve true, stable integrity in a structure when a single individual, no matter how clever or strong, was simply not enough? This is where the story takes another fascinating turn. The answer transcends individual ingenuity and points to an even greater collective power, a force that defined ancient human survival and allowed them to build wonders that endure to this day. It's a power forged not in stone, but in unity, in the very fabric of community itself. While a lone individual might huddle under a rock overhang or hastily construct a rudimentary windbreak for a single night, the building of truly significant, durable shelters, structures meant to last seasons, perhaps even generations, was a different beast entirely. This wasn't just a feat of individual genius, it was a profound testament to ancient humanity's collaborative spirit, an innate, unspoken understanding of what we now call social physics. Imagine, if you will, the dawning realization. What one person couldn't do, 10 or 20 working together could achieve with astonishing efficiency. Shelter construction, therefore, blossomed into a deeply communal endeavor. Here, collective strength, intelligence, and a highly efficient division of labor transformed the seemingly impossible into astonishing reality. Think about it. How do you move a stone block weighing hundreds of pounds, or a massive tree trunk too heavy for even a handful of strong individuals to budge? The answer lay in intuitive applications of basic physics, principles they couldn't articulate in equations, but understood perfectly through observation and trial and error. Picture several ancient individuals not just straining against an immovable object, but strategically positioning a fallen log beneath a colossal stone. With a synchronized pushdown on the longer end of that log, they create a lever, amplifying their combined strength exponentially, allowing them to lift and shift materials far beyond any individual's capacity. Or consider the meticulous placement of smaller stones or logs as fulcrums, effectively turning the ground itself into a powerful tool. They understood the power of a counterweight, perhaps not consciously, but practically. When moving a heavy object, they might tie ropes to it and have others pull in an opposing direction, or even utilize a cleverly placed mound of earth to balance the load, making it easier to maneuver. And what about those ropes? Forget neatly coiled nylon. Their binding innovations were equally ingenious. Twisted vines, strong animal sinews painstakingly dried and braided, even sturdy plant fibers meticulously woven together, acted as powerful, flexible ropes. These weren't just for pulling, they were crucial for lashing, creating tension to hold upright posts firmly against crossbeams, or applying compression to secure structural elements. Imagine a group of people, with practiced synchronicity, using these primitive ropes to pull a heavy timber frame into an upright position, or securing the roof frame against powerful winds. The rhythmic chant, the shared effort, the unspoken communication, it all contributed to the success. These early builders were also structural innovators. They developed ingenious forms that maximize stability and resilience with the simplest means. The stable lean-to, for instance, offered immediate shelter by propping branches against a sturdy base, relying on a fundamental understanding of angled support and gravity. But beyond that, they moved to more sophisticated designs. Resilient, simple domes, often crafted from flexible saplings bent and interwoven, distributed weight incredibly efficiently, making them surprisingly strong against external forces, like wind and snow. The A-frame, another brilliant design, utilized the principle of triangular stability. Two converging supports meeting at an apex, often secured by a horizontal beam, created an inherently strong and self-supporting structure that could shed rain and snow effectively. Each of these forms, whether a simple lean-to, a dome, or an A-frame, possessed inherent structural advantages that made them successful even with rudimentary tools and materials. They learned what worked, what stood, and what collapsed, passing that knowledge down through generations. Crucially, they perfected the binding innovations that held these structures together. They didn't have nails or screws, but they had ingenuity. Found sharp rocks, painstakingly chipped, became chisels and axes, used to meticulously notch branches and logs, creating interlocking stability that defied simple gravity. Imagine a perfectly carved joint where one branch fits snugly into another, forming a rigid connection without a single fastener. Sticky mud, readily available, or even animal dung, often mixed with fibers, served as primitive mortar. not just to fill gaps for insulation, but to create cohesive, surprisingly strong walls that added to the overall integrity. And for roofing and insulation, they intricately wove plant fibers, reeds, and grasses into durable mats, creating a weather-tight skin that protected against rain and cold. This wasn't random, haphazard construction driven by immediate need alone. This was an evolving, highly sophisticated form of design based on shared knowledge, continuous iteration, and communal problem-solving. Each successful structure added to a growing body of architectural wisdom, refined and improved upon with every passing season. They weren't just building houses, they were building a collective understanding of engineering. But even with incredible group synergy and clever engineering principles, a shelter perfectly adapted for one climate might prove deadly in another. How did these resourceful, intuitive builders adapt their designs to survive the scorching deserts, the torrential rainforests, or the brutal freezing tundras, each demanding a completely different specialized approach to comfort, protection, and long-term habitation? That, as you'll see, is where their genius truly shines. Ancient humans weren't just slapping together rudimentary shelters, they were, with no CAD software or advanced physics textbooks, designing incredibly sophisticated climate control systems. This wasn't guesswork. It was an unparalleled, intuitive understanding of their local environments, material science, and fundamental physics. They displayed a genius for adapting to extremes that modern architecture is only now starting to fully appreciate. Let's plunge into the astonishing ingenuity behind these climate-specific adaptations across diverse global ecosystems, demonstrating how our ancestors engineered for survival itself. For scorching hot climates where the sun beat down with relentless ferocity, the solutions were nothing short of brilliant. Imagine communities constructing semi-subterranean dwellings, not just as simple holes in the ground, but as cleverly excavated spaces. They understood that just a few feet below the surface, the Earth maintains a remarkably stable, cooler temperature, acting as a massive thermal battery. These structures leveraged the ground's natural coolness, providing a sanctuary from the searing daytime heat. Beyond going underground, they engineered open-sided structures, meticulously oriented to maximize cross-ventilation and funnel prevailing winds. Think of how a gentle breeze can feel like a lifeline on a blistering day. These homes were designed to capture and amplify that effect, creating constant airflow to dissipate heat. And even without knowing about albedo, they instinctively grasped the power of light-colored materials, plastered mud, whitewashed stone, or naturally light thatch to reflect intense solar radiation, keeping the interior significantly cooler than a dark heat-absorbing surface. Some even hint at early evaporative cooling techniques, perhaps by strategically placing damp moss or water-filled vessels where breezes could carry their cooling effect into the living spaces. In stark contrast, when facing the bone-chilling, freezing cold of glacial landscapes or harsh winters, our ancestors became masters of insulation. Marvel at the intricately insulated structures they built, layered with nature's best thermal barriers. Animal hides, rich with fur and air pockets, were meticulously sewn and draped, trapping warmth inside. Dense moss and compacted leaves were packed between structural elements, creating natural, breathable insulation that rivaled modern fiberglass. And then there's the truly iconic igloo, often misunderstood as a simple snow hut. These domed dwellings, crafted from precisely cut and interlocking blocks of dense, compacted snow, are a testament to ancient engineering genius. The snow itself isn't just a building material, it's an incredible insulator. Its tiny trapped air pockets preventing heat from escaping and the brutal cold from penetrating. The very act of huddling together with a small internal fire could raise the temperature inside an igloo dramatically, often by more than 40 degrees Fahrenheit, even as external temperatures plummeted far below freezing. Their design prevented melting from within through clever ventilation and the snow's inherent ability to conduct heat away slowly. Shifting gears again, consider regions afflicted by endless, torrential rain, where the primary threat wasn't temperature but water itself. Here, the engineering shifted to focus on water management. The critical need for elevated platforms became paramount, lifting homes above the sodden ground to escape floodwaters, prevent dampness from seeping in, and deter ground-dwelling pests. Their roofs were not merely coverings, they were sophisticated drainage systems. You'd see steeply sloping roofs, often dramatically pitched, designed for rapid runoff. This wasn't just about preventing leaks, it was about ensuring that every drop of water shed away instantly, preventing pooling that could lead to structural damage and material degradation. And for waterproofing, they developed multi-layered coverings, meticulously crafted from overlapping leaves, bark, and woven plant fibers. Imagine layers of large, robust leaves, perhaps palm fronds or broad banana leaves, shingled over with strips of fibrous bark, all tied down to create an almost impenetrable, flexible membrane that shed water like a duck's back. This wasn't crude. It was a testament to painstaking craftsmanship and an understanding of how to mimic nature's own waterproof designs. This was passive design at its absolute peak, demonstrating a deep, intuitive grasp of microclimates, prevailing wind patterns, and critical solar angles, principles that modern sustainable architecture is only now painstakingly rediscovering through complex computer modeling. Their homes were not just built in nature, they were intimately built with nature, constantly iterating and improving designs based on the ultimate feedback loop, survival itself. These structures were incredible feats of engineering and testaments to human adaptability, providing essential protection from the elements. But they were also more than just shelter. How did these seemingly simple dwellings transcend mere function, transforming into vibrant centers of culture, art, and the very foundation of what it means to be human, ultimately influencing the way we live even today? We've explored the astounding ingenuity of our ancestors, how with only their hands, keen minds, and nature's bounty, they sculpted the first shelters. But to truly grasp this monumental achievement, we must venture beyond the walls. The ancient home was far more than just a roof. It was the sacred crucible where human culture was forged, community thrived, and knowledge was meticulously passed down. This isn't just architecture. It's the birth of human society. We often reduce prehistoric dwellings to mere function, missing their profound cultural and societal significance. Consider the strategic brilliance of site selection. It wasn't just proximity to water or resources. Early humans weighed defensibility, choosing elevated ground or sheltered alcoves for natural advantage against predators or rivals. They also prioritized communal safety, arranging multiple shelters into protective clusters, nascent villages, and fostering social interaction through home placement. Every choice spoke volumes about their collective priorities. Step inside, and you discover the genesis of interior design and functional zoning. At the heart of nearly every dwelling lay the central hearth. More than warmth or cooking, it was a sacred focal point where stories were told, meals shared, connections deepened. Designated sleeping areas offered comfort. Ingenious storage, pits, baskets, carved shelves kept precious tools, food, and belongings safe and organized. This deliberate, sophisticated organization maximized efficiency, comfort, and order in a wild world. More profoundly, the concept of home itself took shape. It was a place of absolute safety, a sanctuary from danger where belonging was cultivated. Family units formed, strengthened by shared responsibilities and mutual protection. Within these walls, social bonds were forged, reinforced by daily rituals and shared survival. The home became the bedrock of identity, a tangible us, a place where one truly belonged. And art? Even amidst survival, an innate human desire for aesthetics, storytelling, and communication flourished. We see compelling evidence everywhere. Think of cave paintings, breathtaking frescoes depicting hunts, animals, perhaps spiritual journeys, transforming rock into a vibrant canvas. Intricately carved bones, ochre markings, profound expressions of culture, identity, and a burgeoning sense of self, transcending basic existence. The home, in essence, became the first primary school, the original cultural center. Within its embrace, essential survival skills were transmitted: flint knapping, plant identification, tracking, oral histories rich with elder wisdom, passed down, ensuring collective memory. Stories, myths, beliefs about the world were shared, shaping each new generation's worldview. This living education system, without textbooks, ensured cultural continuity, informing future challenges. Ultimately, these ingenious tool-free constructions laid the groundwork for permanent settlements, sparking agriculture's revolutionary advent. They provided stability for communities to put down roots, cultivate land, and generate surpluses. From that stability, from these first fixed points, emerged civilization itself. Without the secure foundation of home, Complex social structures, technological advancements, or cultural flourishing could never have rooted. The untaught genius of these ancient builders isn't just history, it holds vital, often overlooked, lessons for sustainable living and resilient design even today. Their methods, born of necessity and deep environmental understanding, prioritized local materials, minimal waste, and harmonious integration with nature. They built structures that endured, not through sheer mass, but through smart, adaptable design fundamentally connected to the earth. As we grapple with climate change, resource depletion, and the challenges of sustainable communities today, these forgotten wisdoms resonate. It begs the powerful question: what if the wisdom embedded in these very first human structures holds the key to building a more harmonious, sustainable, and truly resilient future for us all? The untaught genius of these ancient builders isn't just history, it holds vital, often overlooked, lessons for sustainable living and resilient design even today. Their methods, born of necessity and deep environmental understanding, prioritized local materials, minimal waste, and harmonious integration with nature. They built structures that endured, not through sheer mass, but through smart, adaptable design fundamentally connected to the earth. As we grapple with climate change, resource depletion, and the challenges of sustainable communities today, these forgotten wisdoms resonate. It begs the powerful question: what if the wisdom embedded in these very first human structures holds the key to building a more harmonious, sustainable, and truly resilient future for us all? It calls us to re-embrace architecture rooted in its environment. We must move beyond standardized, resource-heavy methods, rediscovering the brilliance of local materials and passive design. Engaging environmental contexts with an ancestor's profound understanding fosters structures that adapt, not dominate. Building with the living world, not on it, offers true longevity and symbiosis. We started this journey asking a question that, on the surface, seems almost absurd. How did ancient humans possibly build homes without the very tools we deem indispensable today? How did they manage to create shelter that not only protected them from the brutal elements, but also fostered community without a single saw, hammer, or nail in sight? The answer, as we've explored, isn't found in a hidden cache of forgotten technology, but in something far more profound and universally accessible: the astonishing ingenuity of the human mind, applied with unwavering dedication and collaborative spirit. We discovered that building without tools wasn't a limitation. It was an invitation to innovation. They didn't need tools in the modern sense because they had the ultimate toolkit: their bodies, their keen observational skills, and a collective intelligence that transformed raw nature into sophisticated dwellings. These early builders, often dismissed as primitive, were anything but. They were intuitive physicists, understanding load-bearing principles by observing falling rocks and swaying trees. They were master environmental engineers, harnessing the sun for warmth, the wind for ventilation, and natural contours for drainage. They were botanists, knowing precisely which branches would weave strongest, which bark would insulate best, and which earth would compact most firmly. And perhaps most critically, they were social architects, coordinating efforts, sharing knowledge, and evolving techniques across generations. Every hand became a tool, every rock a hammer, every sharpened stick a digging implement. Their fingers sorted, their muscles lifted, their breath blew away dust, their eyes discerned patterns, and their minds envisioned the finished structure. With nothing but their bare hands and boundless creativity, they transformed caves into homes, branches into roofs, and earth into walls, creating spaces that were not just functional, but resonant with meaning, safety, and belonging. This wasn't just about survival. It was about thriving. It was about forging the very foundations of human culture, community, and the trajectory of our entire civilization. The untaught geniuses of prehistory is a breathtaking testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. It's a humbling, awe-inspiring reminder that long before metallurgy or advanced carpentry, before written language or formal education, our ancestors faced unimaginable challenges and didn't just survive, they flourished, laying groundwork for everything that came after. Their story reminds us that true innovation isn't always about inventing something new, but often about seeing potential where others see only obstacles, and harnessing the innate capabilities we all possess. It asks us, What else are we truly capable of, even today, if we tap into that latent ingenuity within ourselves? If we look beyond our conventional tools and embrace the brilliance of our own minds and collaborative spirit? If you, like me, are captivated by the sheer brilliance of our ancestors, if their unwavering ingenuity and collective spirit have sparked a new appreciation for what humanity is truly capable of, then consider hitting that subscribe button. Join us as we continue to unearth the untaught wisdom and astonishing feats of the past. What other impossible challenges of prehistory would you like us to explore next? Let us know in the comments below, and let's keep this journey of discovery going.